AI won't save your business unless you have these systems in place first. Listen up, because I'm about to save you from wasting thousands of dollars on AI tools that won't actually move the needle for your business. You know, everyone's going crazy over ChatGPT and Midjourney and all these fancy tools. But here's the shocker. Most businesses are seeing zero return on their AI investments. Has it automated anything for you? I know, because I've spent the last 20 years implementing systems for billion-dollar companies. And in the past year alone, I've watched dozens of founders throw money at AI only to end up, more frustrated than before they started. But hey, this isn't another doom and gloom video. In this video, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna show you exactly what systems you need to have in place before AI can actually deliver value for your business. These are the exact same frameworks I've used to help my clients generate millions in additional revenue by implementing AI the right way. Here's the big problem. Businesses are trying to automate chaos. I'll explain. So if you have a business, you have one person, and you hire a second person and they do it a little differently, and then the third person, they do it a little differently. If you had 10 or 100 or 1,000 employees, they'd all do it a little differently, and it would feel very chaotic. Businesses don't like chaos. They want everything systematized and organized and predictable. And so if you put in a system and it's based on the best practice, now everyone uses the system and everyone's at the best practice level. And it's not chaotic. It's quite predictable and pleasant if you have good systems. So businesses are trying to automate the chaos, but AI is really an amplifier to what you're doing. It's not a savior. It's not going to save you if you don't have a system. It can't invent your business's system for you. It really amplifies your systems. So if you have broken systems and you add AI, you have even bigger problems. So this video, I'm kind of warning you, don't do that. I'm gonna give you 3 things to focus on. First, let me introduce myself. I have over 20 years experience with systems. I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my 4th software consulting firm that I built up. I've worked with some of the biggest brands in the world, all the way down to startups. The big brands would include like the Marriotts of the world, American Express, Welltower, the largest medical developer. But hey, I wanna emphasize, I'm a practitioner. I'm not just some coach giving you advice that this is what you need to do. The difference is a practitioner has built up skills from practicing. I've built thousands of systems for hundreds of clients. And what I've learned on the job is exactly what works and what doesn't. And I don't want you to fail. So this video, I am trying to explain to you what you need to do to succeed, okay? We're gonna cover these 3 critical systems that you need before AI can deliver its value. But before I begin, I can only help you if you watch this and my other systems training, and my mission is to help people. And so I document everything I know on YouTube. So please click subscribe, because otherwise you're going to forget this video and lose this channel. So if you subscribe, it'll be saved for you and you can remember where it is. And then you can like and save the video itself for a quick reference later on your saved list. Because here's the thing, you're going to want to discuss the 3 points in this video with your team and your boss or your employees. Trust me, before your AI implementation becomes another casualty, you want to talk about this with your team. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started. Point number 1, you need a proper data architecture. Let me introduce the concept of a unified data architecture, because it's literally foundational. And if you look at what they call the value chain in a business, it starts off with nothing, and at the end, you delivered your product and service. And so in the beginning, you know very little, and every step of the way, you're collecting more and more data as clients and leads come in, and projects are delivered, and finances are done, and documents are created, and so on. And so all that's data, and that's the foundation of your business. You need this data architecture for the rails for the business to run on, okay? And so I'll give you an example. It's like a metaphor of like trying to cook a 5-star meal, but now all your ingredients are scattered into 20 different kitchens. And you're like, I need these ingredients, but they're nowhere to be found. They're not in your kitchen. It's a lot like that working in a company with a poor data architecture. The data's everywhere, but you can't find it and you can't use it. I'll give you a story. This is a really interesting one, and I got stories like this all over the place. But I was working with, I mentioned Welltower, and we were doing a project with them building their data pipeline and their deal flow and revenue systems. And we found they had 2,800 data types stored in 170 different reports. And I'm not even including their data warehouse, their ERP, and their financial systems. So I'm going to ask you, what's it like in your company? How many sheets, how many reports, how much data have you seen scattered all over? Hey, but I said this wasn't going to be about doom and gloom. Here's the answer. You can quickly fix this problem. You just need one system of record for each piece of data. So what I want you to do is, just for any of the top data types you want to run your business, pick a system of record. Is it going to be the CRM or the accounting system, or where is it going to be? It could even be a spreadsheet. And that's going to be the system of record that you just use to be like, that's truth. And then you connect that system of record to anyone who needs that data. So you just consolidate it in the system of record and then share it out with anyone who needs it. It's just that easy. Create systems of record, share the data. Now, after the implementation with Welltower, it's amazing. We simplified the data down to only 78 pieces of data that were required. And in any given month or step in the process, only 2 pieces of the data needed to be updated, saving them so much time all month in updating their spreadsheets. How much time this actually saved this whole department of like 80 people. And so the things that are correlated to revenue are time and money. And that turned out that was the only 2 things they had to update every month. Did the budget change and did the schedule change? So imagine, how great would your life be if you simplified down from 170 reports and 2,800 data types down to just 2 per month? Anyone can handle that. Okay, so the key lesson here is your data must be unified and accessible and reliable before AI can work. Because you have to train your AI. And you don't want to train it on that messy data set, or it's just going to answer with messy answers. You want to train it on that nice, simplified, accurate data set. And then it's going to truly be intelligent and be a great asset to you. Now here's some questions. At the end of each section, I'm gonna have some questions for viewers. These are the ones I want you to take back to your team. Let me just ask you, you just answer them in your head, out loud, write them down. How good is your data architecture? Do you feel like it's clean and organized and structured, or messy and confusing? Is your data architecture even documented? Is there a document for it explaining it, a glossary, or what we call a data dictionary? Are there clear terms and definitions you all agree to? This is so foundational, it's literally called language. Prior to this, people couldn't communicate. And so if you're confused at work, it's because you don't have a common language. And so someone says the word profit, they mean something different than the other person, and they calculate it differently. I'll show you later in this video. So you need a common language by which to collaborate, and that breaks down all the confusion if everyone understands the definitions. So just ask your colleagues. You can always just check. How do you calculate this? What do you think this means? See what they say. If you don't agree, you got problems. Now, do you have a clean system of record? Like, it's a trustworthy. Would you run a report and send it to the CEO using this data, knowing with your life it's accurate? Big question. Are you using a lot of spreadsheets? I don't mean just 1 or 2, but I mean a lot, like 10, 20, 50 linked together. This is a huge red flag because spreadsheets are notoriously error prone, as you know, because they're outdated the minute you hit the save button. Tomorrow, the data's old. No matter how late you stayed up tonight. Another question. Who owns the data and who manages the data? Like, can you walk over their desk and talk to the owner of the data? So if you couldn't answer these questions, it's likely that you have poor data quality. And I don't recommend applying AI to bad data. So take these questions back to your team, create a data dictionary, clean up your systems of record, and then you're off to the races running AI on that clean data. Okay, the second major point is you have to have documented processes in place before you implement AI. The reason being, if you don't have a well-defined process, you can't optimize what isn't defined, and you can't automate what isn't defined. So it would be dangerous to have all your AI working in areas of your business that aren't defined. You're just gonna let ChatGPT make up your business? I'll give you an example. No, you don't wanna do that. I'm going to give you an example of a client who cleaned up their processes. It's very quick. I'll show you how easy it is. Okay, this client was the largest multifamily real estate developer in the US. They had this problem. Probably everyone does. in their business, each developer had their own process because they're experts in their field. So it's natural that in their careers, they learn different methods that work for them, and now they bring it to this new company. And they each had their own process, their own templates, and their own ways of planning deals and doing asset management and financing real estate. And we figured this out. We just simply talk to people. Just ask them. It's so easy. Just ask them, how do you do it? We talked to 3 of them about their process and found all 3 were slightly different. Big problem was their data and their definitions were also different. All 3 didn't even calculate net operating income, NOI, the same way. So when they ran a report and they rolled it up, those numbers, they were comparing apples and oranges, and nobody knew it. So all we had to do is standardize their processes before they could build out their real estate pipeline. It's just that easy. Because AI agents need to be trained on both documents. They call it markdown, or the minute you log into ChatGPT, they're like, do you want to train this GPT on some clean documents? Like if you want it to write like you're supposed to upload all your articles. If you want it to write like LinkedIn, you're supposed to upload your top performing LinkedIn articles. And it's being trained on how to write like you on LinkedIn, the good way, okay? So you train your AI agents on your documents and your data. And so often, they're also taking that process, and AI is great at automating it and automating tasks and workflow. So it's critical that it's automating the tasks and workflow that you need done. So it's critical that you train your AI on these standardized processes before investing in AI agents. And if you haven't documented a process before, it is not hard. Grab out a notepad, it's easy, or a sheet, and I'll just give you a quick step-by-step process. Step 1. Lay out all the steps in the process. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Then assign a person with a name or a role, like accountant, to form that step in the process. And then typically between each step, you're handing off information to the next guy, almost like a relay race. You're passing information and materials like down the assembly line, if you will. So define the inputs and the outputs of each step. And these are typically the documents and data that go along with each step in the process. And just ask your colleague downstream, what information do you need from me to help you out? And tell your colleague upstream, hey, it would really help me if you gave me this information. I could do my job better. And then talk to the person upstream and downstream and make sure you all are happy with your steps. Then lastly, just walk through the process in an ideal world and assign how much time each step takes and how much effort. So it might take an hour for an accountant to do it, but their turnaround time is a week because they're busy. So it would be a week's time, hour effort. So go through it and we'll now know how long the process takes and how much labor or effort is in performing the process. Now your process is done and completed. We know how it should run. Now you can apply AI, and it might give you ideas on how to accelerate or automate the process. My favorite is using AI to test your process. If AI knows what a perfect process is, you can ask AI like, hey, is this process on track? Is this process correct? Are these deliverables right? Is this the right data we need? And the AI would know because it knows what your data should be, and it could correct your errors. So I'll give you an example. The best ROI I've ever seen on AI is when we helped the legal team, 50 lawyers, and 2 lawyers were just tracking invoices and billing because they needed to do the billings for the firm. So they were manually entering and calculating all their time and invoices, and they also outsourced a lot of legal work to specialists. So 2 lawyers doing manual paperwork, data entry. Not a great idea. But they're the only ones who knew the legal invoicing and codes and so on. So they were just stuck with this process. When we met them, we got together, we put together a simple process of routing invoices. We put the data onto a dashboard and built an AI agent. They would read the invoices, categorize them into cost codes, make a real-time dashboard. When an invoice came in, it would put it on the dashboard, and then it would import all the data into the financial system so they could bill it out. We did all that, I shouldn't even tell you, in 7 days and for only $4,000. Wow. It saved the work of 2 lawyers who typically bill like $600 an hour times 2,000 hours a year. You add it up. So big ROI on that one. And there's AI ROI use cases that you can knock it out of the park. I'm gonna cover a bunch at the end of this video, so stick around. A bunch of AI KPIs that you can get to really accelerate your business. So here's the lesson. You can't automate chaos. So define your processes first and then layer on AI on top of it, okay? Now here's some questions for your team. This is the interactive part. I can't hear you, but I want you to be answering these questions. are your processes consistent? Just like within your own company, do all things move along consistently? Or is there like a process for this and a little different for that? If they're inconsistent, you probably don't have a process, or the process is out of control. And then, are your processes even defined? Like, are you following a checklist or a procedure? My favorite, is there a process for defining processes? Like, have you been trained on how to create a standard operating procedure? Or is there a template for it? In fact, do you know who creates and documents and updates your processes in your department or in your company? Is there even a person? And my favorite also is, do your processes work in most cases, all cases? Because a lot of people have a process. They had a process that was trained on 10 scenarios. We implemented the system and then they said, well, this doesn't work. I'm like, what do you mean? We trained it on all 10 scenarios. And they go, we just gave you 10 out of 90 scenarios. And I was like, there was 80 more scenarios you didn't mention? Well, no duh, the system didn't do the 80 that we never even looked at. So when you're building a process, try to make sure it works in most cases, or here's what they do. It's called the happy path. It should work for the main case and then have an exception process. So how do you handle exceptions? And so typically that's one that's like an oddball, or something goes wrong and maybe someone needs to look at it or has to go through an extra step like an approval process or something. But there should be a happy path that everything runs through, and then only if the happy path doesn't work, there's an exception process. So now 2 processes should be able to handle all 90 scenarios, if you will. Also, do you have a dashboard or KPIs that automatically generate alerts and alert you if a process is working or not working? That's critical. So think about these things. If you have a good process and people are managing the data, it should be documented, and it's probably on a dashboard somewhere from the system of record that should be trustworthy. Okay, on to the point 3. I said you needed 3 systems. The last one is revenue visibility. You need revenue visibility before you implement AI, because the number one focus in a business should be on tracking, expanding on how the money flows through the business so it can grow and get more money. It's essential to scaling your business and your revenue. But the number one problem I hear in business is the concern and lack of visibility and predictability around revenue, expenses, and profit. It's almost like at the month end, it's always a big surprise how we did on revenue. But here's the good news. I said no doom and gloom. Revenue is very knowable. I'm gonna explain how. You can track the revenue and expenses and scale the revenue systems to scale the business. This is exactly what we do for our clients, and this is exactly what I'm gonna explain to you now. For example, I see it all the time, clients not focused on revenue systems or revenue visibility. Instead, I see them focus on efficiency. Oh, we're gonna save all these hours. Or new trends like AI, let's jump into AI, that'll fix everything. But here's the problem. If that efficiency and that AI isn't applied to revenue, it actually isn't helping you grow. Now, it might be saving some money on expenses, but do you really get that money back? Are you really gonna cut headcount to make up for that efficiency, which we don't recommend you do? Then therefore, it didn't actually save you anything. In fact, we recommend you keep those employees because you're gonna need them as you grow to serve your new customers. So I want you to shift from efficiency saves to taking those people and applying them to revenue systems to actually grow your business. I'll give you a quick example. An e-commerce company was focusing on social media. Obvious, right? Shouldn't you be on social media? But on social media, it's really hard to sell, so it really doesn't drive revenue. It actually drives up expenses because you need labor, employees to run your social media. What they should have been focused on, if they listen to me, on simple revenue drivers like email marketing, upselling, abandoned cart nurturing, and systems that actually drive more e-commerce sales volume. So just make sure you focus on the revenue visibility as a system strategy first. Because, let me ask you, do you have your AI roadmap? So I know you're interested because you're watching an AI video. You want to implement AI. If there's a roadmap of what you're doing there, what I want you to do is I want to redirect your AI investments not to helping cost centers. Those are people in the company that cost the business money, but to what they call profit centers. These are the people that actually make the money in the business. The reason being is now you get a positive ROI on these systems. They pay for themselves. because they make way more money than they cost to implement, like that example with the lawyers. A $4,000 AI agent saved 2 lawyers' jobs so they could do legal work, not data entry. There's some other great use cases for AI that drive revenue in automating both paid and social media for inbound marketing. I'm going to give you a bunch of examples of how you can use AI in revenue systems. I've seen it really powerfully in cold outreach, finding and targeting new customers who don't know you. You can use ad engines like Google and Meta. They're leading the AI industry, and let their AI find new customers for you, just like that case study I'm going to go over next about a client that did that. Great results. And there's a ton of things to talk about in marketing and sales automation using text and voice bots that are often better at talking to customers than people are, even, because these are large language models is really the foundation of AI. So it's good at talking to people like Siri. It talks, it listens, voice to text, text to voice. And so it's very good at texting with people and acting normal and staying on script and so on. AI tools can cut sales turnaround time for responding to prospects and customers from like a day or two down to like minutes, even seconds. Let me jam through a bunch of AI stats for you. If you don't have any ideas about how to use AI to grow revenue, keep watching. How to use AI to grow revenue in RevOps. Here's some stats I looked up, of course, with an AI tool. So, companies using AI for RevOps, revenue operations, saw 35% faster sales cycles. That's crashing this schedule by 1/3. That's huge. When you add all these up, it's amazing. An 18% increase in customer lifetime value through improved retention strategies. That will add up. That's 20% growth right there. In marketing operations, AI-powered personalization increased marketing campaign conversion rates by 30% on average. This is huge. This alone is a 1/3 increase in your whole pipeline. And the content you can create with AI assistance showed a 25% higher engagement metrics, which is huge. And then 40% reduction in customer acquisition costs through improved targeting. This reduces the cost there, increasing your profit. And my favorite is predictive lead scoring. Increase the qualified leads, marketing qualified lead generation by 33%. Because it's one thing to generate a lot of leads, but just ask the salespeople. They're not good leads. They're not even qualified to buy from you. So it's imperative that you use AI to somehow target and find the customers that do need your services. And they can find these patterns very well, and instead on the ad engines, they can as well. Also, now marketing teams using AI got 22% higher return on ad spend. That's big. That's big. Especially if you have a big ad budget. Now on the sales ops side, sales operations, sales team using AI assistants got 28% more time spent on actually selling versus admin tasks. This is one of the great efficiency ones. It's a win-win. So salespeople, as you know, hate data entry, and this is why. Because they want to be out selling because they earn commission. That's how they feed their kids. So that's why they're not good at data entry, and that's why most CRMs have bad data. But if you can use AI to fill out the data and let them go sell and drive revenue, this is a win-win for everyone. A win-win-win-win. Another powerful one, 38% increase in opportunity identification in existing accounts. That means your existing customers, you're finding new ways to help them and bring more value and upsell them more services that they need. Also, sales reps reported that if they used AI, they closed 26% more deals. That's huge. You add all these up, your pipeline sales through just must have gone up 2, 3, 4 times. And 31% improvement in cross-sell and upsell revenue through AI recommendations. That most CRMs have bad data. But if you can use AI to fill out the data and let them go sell and drive revenue, this is a win-win for everyone, a win-win-win-win. Another powerful one, 38% increase in opportunity identification in existing accounts. That means your existing customers, you're finding new ways to help them and bring more value and upsell them more services that they need. Also, sales reps reported that if they used AI, they closed 26% more deals. That's huge. You add all these up, your pipeline sales through just must have gone up 2, 3, 4 times. And 31% improvement in cross-sell and upsell revenue through AI recommendations. That's big. Okay, so here's the lesson. I just gave you a bunch of stats on how you can drive revenue with AI if you will build the foundation of the 3 systems that we recommended. So the key lesson, you need to know what activities actually drive revenue. So make sure you're crystal clear about what activities in your company turn to revenue. Let me ask you some questions. So here's where we're gonna stop, talk about revenue a little bit. Take these questions back to your team, to your boss, to your employees. Okay, question number 1. Do you currently track revenue outside of accounting systems? And if so, where? And is accounting an accurate representation of past or current revenue? It sounds like it would be, but it's often not, given terms and people not paying and so on. You never got that revenue that you thought you had. And then let me ask, do you use that past revenue data to forecast future revenue, or do you have any mechanism to forecast revenue that's accurate? And the way to do that is, do you manage any leading indicators of revenue, like social paid impressions, click-through rates, web visitors, leads, sales calls, proposals? All those things are leading indicators of revenue, they're called. They happen before you get the money. So if you get really good at doing things before the money, you should get really good at getting money, if that makes sense. So focus on the leading indicators. Revenue is actually a very lagging indicator. I got a million examples of jobs I sold 2 months ago that still haven't paid. So yeah, you know how it is, 30, 60, 90 days. Revenue is a very far lagging indicator and usually not a good predictor of future revenue. I'm gonna break down a full case study for you. And in the future, this is why I wanted you to subscribe. I'm gonna do a huge demo. This demo, you have this video is long. When I do the demo, it's gonna be like 2 or 3 hours. But I'm gonna demo this very system I'm about to break down for you. It combines all 3 systems, the data architecture, the process definition, and the revenue systems that you need to build your AI on top of. And then I'm gonna talk about those in this case study. Now this client, I'm not gonna tell you who it is, but they're one of the biggest real estate syndicators and high growth entrepreneurs, and you might have seen him on social media. He's out there everywhere. Now I'm gonna contrast before and after we did this project. Before this project, our client, they had no data dictionary or data structure, and that more in their sales and marketing or in their social media or paid media. So really on the marketing operations. And I'm not saying they didn't have any data, I'm just saying they didn't have a data dictionary with clear definitions. And so they were experts at promoting. Like I said, they're all over the place selling products online, but it was inconsistent, their data architecture underlying this process. After we did the project, we created a data dictionary, of course, and then we mapped out the data end to end with definitions across the entire marketing, sales, and revenue pipeline. Just like I explained you can do for yourself. Okay, before the project, there was a one and done sales process, more like an outbound call center strategy. They'd call people, try to get them on the phone, call a lead, and try to close them. That works, but hey, afterwards, there's other things that can work. We added a full deal lifecycle process and a full customer lifecycle process for repeat buyers. Now that moves customers up the value ladder, and you nurture them and add value to them at every stage on their journey. That's called a good funnel or a good sales ladder. I don't know if you use those in your company. And on the revenue systems before the project, they really just tracked like sold deals and things that were almost closed in a deal pipeline. And they're tracking that to like weekly quotas. After the project, because we now have this nurturing, we have predictive analytics that show us the entire pipeline and the journey these customers are on with deals and customers in every stage of the journey. And this gives us so much more accurate forecasting. We know how many people are here and how many convert to this, and then we have really detailed data on how many calls and how many convert, and then how long does it take them to convert, and so on. Now the pipeline is highly predictive on forecasting revenue and calculating these conversion rates, and then we have the ability to further optimize and expand the revenue. Now on the AI front, there was no real AI integrated at the beginning. Afterward, we set up what's called conversion events. Write this down, conversion events. And event tracking. We added 27 touch points across 3 funnels and 1 big pipeline. And then we connected in 3 ad campaigns, each with 18 variants, all tied back into Google and Meta to use their AI to find net new customers. Now, I don't know if you caught that. There's a pipeline with stages and these conversion metrics as customers kind of ascended the journey. Now we know what a real customer is because we have examples. This person bought, this person bought, this person didn't. And we're sending that data back to Google and Meta to go find the buyers, people with that profile who need our service. And so, that's why you get targeted by ads online, sorry, but we're just trying to help people because they need this service that our customer offers. It's amazing. And so we're just trying to find net new people to help, right? And I gotta tell you, it really worked. In fact, many new leads that came in said they never heard of them. But what that means is they're incremental new revenue from a new market share they just captured. Thanks to Google and Meta and these conversion events training the AI to go find our ideal customer for us. And the awesome part is in the next phase, we're gonna use AI for one-to-one nurturing to the client's profile and their needs. So we can then score sales calls and find the best ways to serve the prospects and clients. And honestly, let's talk about the implementation. Before we did this project, they bought this system 6 years ago, and the CRM was really never set up right. Never integrated it. The websites, the ads, and the CRM were broken. We found defects, defective, and lacking any UTM tracking data, which is how we track each customer. And honestly, this is not uncommon, and nor is it a criticism of the client. It's normal. Our company might have a defect on our website. It's normal in software, and all these things are software. Connecting all these channels is all software. And since you're not going through it all day long because you work internally, you're not noticing when things break and software breaks. So it's not uncommon to have defects in your funnel. So, of course, we fix all those. We're software engineers, so we test funnels all day long. After the project was done, it was now fully integrated, fully tested, fully attributed, no known defects, and the data was verified as accurate from 4 different data sources to confirm the system of record as the CRM, because we verified it from 3 other tracking tools. My favorite part. That probably sounded like a big project to you. And it was, but it's not that big. Get this, it only took 2 months to implement. And within 3 weeks of going live, as of today, recording this video, over 686 new leads are in the pipeline and over $450K in revenue has been closed. This project more than paid for itself in 3 weeks. That $450K is just the beginning because the customers are just finally getting through the pipeline, which takes 3 to 4 weeks to even get through. So that's just first in a flood of customers coming through this pipeline. It's likely going to grow to 50 million by the end of June, and we're hoping we can push $1 billion through these funnels by the end of the year. Imagine how that would change your business. So let me summarize the case study. Please don't wait 5 years. Set up your systems now and hit your targets. You see, these systems have a guaranteed ROI. I can tell you, that one just had a 10x ROI just on the first deal that it landed. And honestly, do you even have another choice? What choices do you have? Are you gonna wait? Are you gonna stagnate? Are you gonna die out? Let your competitors pass you by? So there you have it. I just explained the 3 critical systems you need before AI can actually deliver value for your business. A proper data architecture, documented processes, and revenue visibility. If you're thinking about implementing AI in your business, I want you to stop and honestly assess these 3 areas first. If any of them are lacking, focus there before spending a single dollar on AI tools. Please run these ideas by your team and get them on board to set up the systems right the first time. And look, I get it. Building these systems isn't sexy. It's not the latest shiny object that everyone's talking about, but it's actually what works. It's what separates the businesses that thrive from those that constantly chase the next big thing with nothing to show for it. So if you're serious about leveraging AI to grow your business, but you're not sure where to start with these foundational systems, well, we can help. Of course, I can help you. I've worked with companies of all sizes to implement revenue systems that actually work, from startups to billion-dollar enterprises. So please book a revenue systems call with me today by clicking the link below in the description. And on this call, I'm going to help you identify the specific gaps in your current systems, and create a customized plan to get your business ready for AI and implementation that will actually deliver an ROI. Okay? So one more time, we're gonna get your business ready for AI implementation that actually has an ROI versus making bigger problems. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more practical, no-nonsense advice on building systems that drive real revenue. Because if you forget and leave, you're gonna forget this video, have a hard time finding it. So just hit subscribe and it'll be saved into your profile. And remember, in business, the fundamentals always win. Get your systems right first, then let AI amplify what's already working. All right, I'll see you in the next one.